What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Fit Fun Father podcast. I'm your host, Michael Sobq, and we have a wonderful new live podcast going on right now on Facebook. So Facebook is pushing this out live on video. I also am doing this video for YouTube. So we're going to try and hammer some of these on multiple platforms. Glad you could join me. If you're listening to this in your car or through iTunes or Spotify, you're a couple days ahead of when the recording of this went on. But thank you for tuning in. So the whole idea of this episode is to try and promote some things that we can do in this type of the times that we're having. A very strange time that we're going through right now with the COVID-19 or coronavirus. And I don't recommend you go watch, what's the show I was just watching on Netflix? Outbreak, which is number 2, by the way, in Netflix most popular shows. Yeah. But I flicked it on for 10 minutes and I was like, this will scare the shit out of most people. So let's not do the Outbreak thing, even though Matt Damon looks pretty hot in it. Gwyneth Paltrow dies in the first 10 minutes. Not really sure why I watched that, or I don't remember watching that show. It's almost 10 years old now, but it's sure an indication as to some of the things that could be coming. So again, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining me. For those of you who are pulling into the Facebook live feed, we are doing a podcast recording, first ever done live. So you'll be able to catch it days from now when I actually publish it and not be lazy, because editing is a pain in the ass and I don't like doing it. But nonetheless, we'll get this out for you because I love you guys and I want you all to be happy and as stress-free as you can, because we're all thinking the same thing. It's like being in the classroom when you have a question and you don't quite want to ask it because you're afraid that the judgment that comes from the question, when the reality is that everybody else in the room has the same question. So let's go with that. All right. We have a lot of anxieties. Those of you who have kids at home, hey, Leia, what's up? Call me later. Or we'll set something up. Anyway, this is the podcast. This is the live feed. Again, you guys will hear me going in and out from the Facebook, giving shout outs to people. Guys, this is going to be live on 8 platforms. I think 9 now, I think I've got, in the podcast space, being promoted and published Friday. So a lot of you, let's start with the topic of kids. All right. Lucky or not lucky, my son is 17, grade 11. I got the news Monday that school is being canceled across the province. He had that information before I did, obviously, because that's what kids do, right? They get the news, they get the 411 from their buddies, and then, of course, the email comes out from the school saying that they've canceled school. But not only have they canceled the school, they've basically prepared for the kids not to go back for the year. What does that mean for us parents? Well, that basically states, well, we've got kids stuck in our house for the next 5 months or so, 5-6 months, which is, for a lot of us, that's a difficult time. We set our work schedules around our kids going to school. We book our holidays accordingly. For those of you who plan on traveling into the United States, even looks like Canada and US have agreed to close our borders with each other and only allowing essential people to cross. So if you have holidays booked and you plan on crossing the border, well, you may have trouble getting through. Frustrating, difficult. It's difficult for us, for the families. It's difficult for the financial end of it, for some of you who may not or be worried about refunds and things like that. Again, our kids are stuck at home, and what we can do to improve this, I think, is to keep our kids in a regular routine. So if you have kids at home and they're used to getting up at 7 or 7:30 in the morning, keep that routine going. I think it's good for them. And let's be creative. Create a couple days of the week where you maybe have an hour of movie time, or we're going to play board games, or we're going to go for a walk. We're going to go out and incorporate some physical exercise into that as well. I think we got to keep our kids in some sort of routine. I mean, school is a big part of, their education, but it's a massive part of their social life. And for a lot of us, grown adults, we're probably on the other end of the spectrum right now where we're saying to ourselves, hey, I don't have to go to work, and that novelty will wear off. But in the beginning stages, it seems like, well, it's okay. I'm going to be away from some of the people I work with for a while, and I'm okay with that. The kids, on the other hand, my son is one of them. This kind of is hard because, they're not chumming with their buddies. They're not having those regular hangouts with their friends. They're finding themselves home, and whether you are someone who is self-quarantined, have been quarantined due to someone that that's been affected by this, um, being at home can be difficult for most people, including myself. I know, going back to last July when I left my last job, scaffolding, and was at home, and when people were going to work, or you have this environment where you're not having your daily routine, it can be difficult. It can be very stressful. We can build anxiety. We have these unknowns. Do I have enough money to pay the bills? Is rent going to be taken care of? Does the groceries It's one thing to have money to go to the grocery store, but does the grocery store actually have the things that you need or the things that you want to provide for your family? So again, difficult. Some things that we can do for that, again, is just to set a new habit forming routine while we're off. Get up at the same time in the morning, set yourself a walk. This is going to be good for exercise as well. For those of you who have jobs that you're used to walking all the time, it's going to be very easy to become sedentary and to be sitting down and not doing a whole lot. So I promote that you go out, break up your day, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, grab your headphones, grab your favorite bit of music. We are, I think, in favorable weather where it's not too cold, and it's not going to be difficult to go out there for that type of time frame. Dress accordingly, of course, and just get out of your headspace. Get out of the thought of this COVID-19. Shut the news off. Utilize your phone for music and kind of gap yourself away from the social media aspect as well. And I think this is super important for us in normal times, let alone in times of difficulty where we're going through something like this, because we're going to get conflicting messages. We're going to get conflicting things that arise. And there's a time and a place for social media. I know for myself, I use social media for business. I use social media to get messages out, to try and help as many people as I can with things that they're struggling with. And I also get caught up in social media where I catch myself looking at things from other people or news or, other fitness professionals and what they're doing, and wrapping myself up into that, and easily see an hour go by. So make some time away from the phone. Put the phone down, put it on vibrate, rechange your messaging on your voicemail stating I'm away from the phone. Put your notifications off, turn your notifications off. Put that notification indicator on when you want to be left alone. And take some time for you and your situation. So if it's your kids at home, if it's you and your spouse, um, really think about building those routines over time, and it's going to bring you and your families closer together, because it is difficult. It's very stressful to do. One of the best things, unrelated to the COVID-19, but I think there's an opportunity for us to really come together now, is exercise. And I've always promoted exercise as a way to eliminate longer term stress by giving ourselves short term stress. So For those of you who may not understand stress or how stress works, it's a hormonal response in the body. You have what's called the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic yeah, as I clear my words here. The sympathetic nervous system is what we call our fight or flight. When this is activated in the body, we get a spike in what's called catecholamines or epinephrine or norepinephrine is our adrenaline. Elevated heart rate, our body, it's an instantaneous reaction. We have higher levels of what's called cortisol in the body, which is a natural inflammatory. And when we sit in this all day long, we don't go into what's called our parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest or digest, where um, our heart rate levels come down. We're more in a relaxed state. We're allowed to digest food. Our digestive system is working. When we're in this constant um, level of stress, we can't allow both of these can't happen at the same time. So we're often putting digestion on the back burner. We're often not allowing ourselves to get in the state. We're tense all the time. Our muscles are constantly working to promote you moving or running from a bear. I go back to the instinctual things. Why do we have these two responses? Well, one, we have to digest food and sleep. The other is when we're out hunting or gathering and there's danger, we need to have enough energy, regardless of the food that's in our system. That's why we store fat in adipose tissue. But that could be another conversation or another topic in another podcast. In fact, I think I did one on one of those as well. So go into my podcast, check those out. Really cool on that information. But we have these responses that we've gathered, over time. So when we exercise, when we have these small bouts of stress, we have those raised levels of cortisol. We have that epinephrine. We have that high heart rate. But then when we come down, we relax. We're in a more parasympathetic state, or we pull from this. We have that cool down phase or that almost euphoric phase. So for those of you who exercise or work out, especially when you do high intensity stuff, you'll find when you, a half hour after you're done exercising, you have this kind of sense of like, I feel lighter. I feel more energized. I'm not too worried about some things. And it's important. And I think for the majority of us who live in a very technologically what's the word I'm looking for? Fast response. Like the self gratification of like instantaneousness. Like we want everything now. We have access to the internet. It's super quick. You've got Netflix and Amazon, and like for those of you who want to watch TV, you've got enough TV to last you the next 10 years, and you probably still can't run out. So we have all this stuff, at our fingertips that we didn't have, just 10, 15, 20 years ago. And it's only getting worse. We have access to drive-throughs. We have access to skip the dishes. We have all these things that come to us or allow us to not have to move a whole lot. But the stressors that we go through, whether you're worried about money, whether you're worried about, your kids and their school, and you're worried about all these things that are going on, that effect on the body still remains. So it's not any different. So we want to eliminate that to some degree, and exercise is the best thing. So those of you guys out there who have seen my Facebook posts or Instagram or LinkedIn, I'm on all of those platforms, excuse me, and I try and get across to as many people as I can. There is still a special place in my heart for all the construction workers, all the scaffolders, insulators, things like that out there that may not be working right now. So I decided to wear my Dirty Hands Clean Money shirt, which represents the blue collar worker. Holler at ya for those of you watching the video, which I should get shirts branded that say clean hands, dirty money, and then put like a little Purell sign or something, but I probably would have to get some branding rights for that. Just in light of everything that we're going on. So go over to my Facebook page, check out my 100 push-up challenge. And the reason I said 100 is because it's a goal that I think a lot of us can strive to go towards, maybe, over the next couple months. Is it attainable for everybody? No. Is it an expectation? Absolutely not. But I think it's fun. More than anything, it's getting out there and trying something and pushing yourself to different limits that don't take a lot of time, right? And understandably, for those out there that aren't gym goers or not avid, what's the word I'm looking for? Avid. There we go. That are not avid list or workout people, push-ups. If you would do 100 push-ups, you could probably do it in a minute, minute and a half. If it's less, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, you're still going to get a very good chest workout, arms, things like that. You're going to stimulate the body. You're still going to give it that stress. You're still going to allow for that. And you're going to get shape. You're going to burn calories. And all that stuff comes together, and it makes a world of difference for the rest of the day. Break these things up too. I know I've added a 100 squat, body weight squat, and 100 lunge to this, like kind of a trio thing. Maybe it's 10 in the beginning that you try and attempt. But I think it's, hey, Arthur, I think it's a really important thing for us to do, just to really get us out of this mindset and get us into thinking more about, our families, and thinking more about, living in the present, and really understanding like life, that we plan too much into the future. We live our lives in the future. And I think that can be a detriment, where we stop focusing on the present, myself included, where we're not thinking about right now. What are we doing right now? But what's tomorrow? What are they going to close next? Are we going to be locked in our homes? Like, when you do that, you're just stressing yourself. We don't know the unknown. I mean, if we'd have talked a month ago, we would have never been in this situation. We would have never been like, oh, you mean all the gyms are going to close? Oh, you mean all the bars, restaurants, sporting events? I mean, we can't watch. Those of you who love hockey like I do, or baseball or basketball or any of those sporting events, we don't have them. We're not watching those things. We're not able to go through some of those routines, and we have to kind of change patterns. This is a really good, in my opinion, for everybody to really think about this. Like, you have no idea what the future brings. You have zero idea what's coming next. So instead of worrying about it, instead of thinking to yourself, boy, I need to make an extra $1,000 or I'm not going to be able to go on that trip, let's worry about the health of our family members and our friends. And this kind of leads me into the next part of this: is be selfless in your thought process around who you interact with and who you do not interact with. And I mean this in a very genuine, wholehearted way. I have two amazing parents that I love to death, that I refuse to go and spend any time with right now, for the fact that I am a very healthy individual who very well could be a carrier of this COVID-19. And the last thing I would ever want is to see them sick. I want to spend another 10, 15, 20 years having Sunday dinner with my parents, and not 2 weeks of selfishness because I miss my Sunday dinners and I'm going to be like, I think I'll be okay. I don't feel sick or I don't feel ill, so I'll just go hang out with my parents, knowing very well that, if they come down with something like this, it could have a adverse effect on their health and even life. So be mindful of the people that you're going to spend time with. If you're in a household with a family of 4, and you're interacting with them every day, and that family is going to be a part of maybe your quarantine, or the people that you're around anyway. but try not to introduce newer people into the fold, you know? Um, be mindful of that. Stay and respect this uh, particular pandemic, or respect what's happening out there. And I know I hear this a lot. I hear it on Facebook, and I hear frustration most of the time. And it's a big reason why I'm doing this podcast, doing it live, putting it out there on as many platforms as I can. Is there is a reason why we've taken such extreme precautions, or the world has taken extreme precautions to something like this. This is a blip in time. This is not a reflection of the remainder of your life. This is like anything else. This is like losing a job, or having, the regular flu, or having traumatic events in your life. It's a blip on the radar screen. And I think we really need to understand that to get through this, we have to take those precautions. We need to follow this type of thought process, is to eliminate as much of this interaction as we can. And those of you who maybe think this is being overplayed, possibly, but I would rather it be overplayed than downplayed and have a lot of people get sick over a long period of time. I mean, we look back on history, and by no means this am I trying to correlate anything, but I want to just understand, represent that history has a tendency of repeating. So if we know over time, that human beings have participated in war and conflict and violence for 2,000 years. You know, we had the Black Plague in the 1700s. We had the introduction of cholera in the 1800s. We had the Spanish flu in 1920, which killed, I think, in the millions, I think 100 million people. We have the ability now, we have the technology, we have the response, we have the technology to get out to the masses in a very quick way. And we should be blessed for having that. And the reason why, in the past, I think you have a greater loss of life is because the information doesn't spread as fast. In 1920, it was newspaper at best. And by the time that information got to you, a month had gone by, and half of your family members had already got sick or have passed away. We literally have been able to reach the world and reach different levels and different protocols in the matter of minutes. And I think that's a blessing in disguise. And I think we really need to think about that. Think about the ability of what this could do or could not do. I mean, do we really know the severity of this in its infant stages? I don't think it's fair for anybody to say yes or no in either direction. Have we seen the worst or the best of this in the future? Again, living in the present, I don't think that's anything that I can comment on or would feel comfortable commenting on, because I have no idea. What I do know is I live in a world where information is passed really fast. I live in a world where we want we want this instant gratification. We want everything now. We want results now. We want we want to obtain everything now because we have such access to this through technology. And stress has never been more prevalent. We have never, I don't think, in recent times, felt so hard on ourselves, and trying not to live with today but always sticking our heads in tomorrow is such a difficult thing. And we need to just really, you know, care for each other, use the medias like I'm doing now with Facebook Live. I've gone recording this on Zoom so that I can put it out on YouTube, and then push it through Apple and iTunes, or through Spotify, and get this out through the podcast, and touch it through LinkedIn, and get it through Instagram, where maybe I can shed the light for one or two individuals who are going through a rough day, or having a difficult moment because they're not sure of when they're going to go back to work, and they're hearing it could be a month, it could be 6 months. What do I do? I've got enough money to pay the rent for this month, and then I'm fucked. I don't know where I'm going, and my kids are running rampant over the house because they're not in school, and how dare the schools close on us? And we all have these thoughts going through our heads. I mean, myself included, where I have I'm a personal trainer. My livelihood for the most part will depend on working in a gym environment. There's no gyms open. I was in the midst of a practicum where we graduated from school on Friday, and we had kind of started our practicum, our in gym experience. That's been put on hold. I've studied for months and months through both nutrition, through personal training, through how anatomy and kinesiology and how the body works, and I have all this information shoved in my brain, and I have to write a certification exam, which is very stressful in itself, and that's been canceled. And now I have to go back through the books and try and retain information, and it's stressful. And I know, um, from somebody who made the big leap to change professions, um, it's been very difficult on me. The 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 days of making six figures and being a manager and being comfortable, and I like to say that word comfortable because it doesn't correlate hard work, it correlates something you're familiar with. I always associate comfort with familiarity. So your daily routine that has always been the same. You're up at 5 in the morning, you work at 7, you have your coffee. It's a one cream, one sugar. You get to work, you put your work boots on at 5 to 7 every day. Your coveralls go on, your tools go on. You're going to have the first break cigarette, or you're going to have a conversation with your foreman. Like, you create in your brain these routines that you stick with. They become comfortable and familiar. You're used to the same paycheck every week, whether it's $1,000 or $5,000 or whatever it may be. And those become comfortable. And I think one of the best decisions I ever made in my life was to step out of that comfort zone and into the unknown, where a lot of you are feeling that right now. A lot of you are sitting at home and going, oh, fuck, now what? Like, oh, shit, if you're watching the news, you probably your head is spinning because it changes every hour and on the hour. It's okay. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. It's okay to understand that you don't know where the next month's rent's going to be coming from, or how am I going to make the next dollar? How am I going to go through my life not knowing where the next step is? I can tell you firsthand, I don't know how many months now, 7 or 8 months that I haven't touched, I haven't been in that field of work. A brief stint in September, but for the most part, trying to figure it out on my own, trying to figure out where that next paycheck comes from, or what is it that I need to do that's going to fulfill me as a human being. It's going to fulfill my sense of purpose, and what is really going to define me for the next 40, 50, 60 years of my life. Because I am one of those people. I'm a very process driven individual. It took me a really long time to figure that out. And I think we need to really take a look at our processes. And when we sit at home and we go through things like this, we create new habits or new routines through, like I said, home workouts, exercises, putting things together, spending more time with their kids, going for the walk. Now that you have time away from work, get out and move more. We have this phenomenon, and I want to clear the air on the toilet paper thing. First and foremost, if you bought a bunch of toilet paper and thought you were going to sell it on Kijiji or Facebook Marketplace, you're just plainly a fucking asshole. I have to say that. I know they've banned it, but I understand. Yeah, it's a business thing. I get it. No, like, the reason why toilet paper became short is because they Australia for some reason had a shortage and whatnot, and it translated into this coronavirus thing. I don't know why everybody needs 16 fucking rolls of toilet paper. It's absolutely, or pallets of toilet paper makes no sense to me. What you should be buying is leafy greens, vegetables, adding vitamin D to your regimen. Even though I'm not a registered dietitian and can't prescribe any of those things, I do myself personally take vitamin D because we're in the northern hemisphere and I'm not outside 8 hours a day. And vitamin D is very extremely important for hormonal function and body function. And I actually look at it as something that's kept me as healthy as I am for a very long period of time. Um, Putting a big fat steak on the grill. I mean, there's nothing better than all your vitamin B's, B12. It's very nutrient dense. You can take an 8-ounce steak, eat that by itself, and you'll be satiated for hours. Complement that with a salad with a vinaigrette, some cucumber, some red pepper, yellow pepper, a bit of spinach, and you have a power punch of nutrients running through your body that is going to help immune function, that's going to help hormonal function, that's going to help your sleep, it's going to help your energy, it's going to translate into exercise when you exert yourself. We shouldn't be going, and I go into the grocery stores, and I get it. People are used to doing certain things, have bad habits or past habits where it's, let's buy a ton of canned goods and breads and these frozen pizzas and stuff. Frozen pizza section's empty. And don't get me wrong, I love a frozen pizza here and there, but that's not what's going to that's not fulfilling. That's not going to give you any nutritional value. You buy a frozen pizza, it's 1,200 calories, and it's got 3 pieces of meat on it, and it's dough with a bit of cheese. Like, I can give you 1,200 I can give you a 1,200 calorie nutrient dense meal that you probably wouldn't finish. And even if you did, you probably wouldn't be hungry. You wouldn't have that hunger sense for most of the day. And I think when I speak nutrition, we need to start getting out of the calorie thought process sometimes and understand what nutrients and what vitamins really are going to help sustain us. So this is another part of something that we can do that we're at home, or if you're out going to the grocery store, buy these things. They're readily available because no one else is buying them. Go to the store and figure it out. It's like we're so consumed with our regular old breads and pastas and things that satiate us and that are hyper palatable because they taste good, and we're not as concerned about how we're feeling. And when we have this type of pandemic out there, for me personally, for somebody who's in the health and nutrition and exercise life or world, this is utterly important to me. Like, to me, this is like, be proactive and build up your immune system. Strengthen your body for whatever you may or may not come in contact with. Like, for fuck's sakes, think about what I had just mentioned 20 minutes ago about, not understanding the future, not understanding that we don't control what happens from day to day. Nobody asked for this. Nobody said, hey, fucking 2 months, I really would hope if work would just cancel itself and we'd all sit at home for we don't know how long. No, nobody wants that. But if you have time to kind of process that and think about those things, it's so important to be like, you know what? Instead of fucking worrying about tomorrow, I'm going to give my body what it needs today so that I have a fighting fucking chance for tomorrow. Like, give yourself that opportunity. And it doesn't take a whole lot. I mean, I love to cook as well. And, for me, home cooking guarantees me to some degree that I'm going to get what I'm asking for. I'm going to get the things that that are important to me, the nutritions that I need, without all the added other bullshit, with still maintaining that level of nutritional value. And I think when we go out and we add these things, like, try this, like, this is what I do with clients, like, try this. Drink, if you're a pop drinker, drink a liter of water before you drink. I'm not going to tell you not to drink the pop. Just drink a liter of water before you drink pop. Every time you want to have a pop, drink water first. When you feel like you want to have a frozen pizza, grab a stick of cucumber and a little bit of a salad and eat all of that first. Then go have your pizza. And I'm going to tell you what's going to happen as a result over time. First day, you're like, oh, Mike, whatever. He's full of shit. You eat your salad. You eat that nutritionally dense food. Maybe you pound back that pizza after. What'll happen over time is your body is getting the nutrients it needs from those the phytonutrients from the plants and things like that. It's not going to want the other shit anymore. There's no value in it anymore. So you're going to tend to want it less. Same with the pop. If you're drinking adequate amounts of water throughout the day, and we understand pop is very, 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 very addicting due to the sugar content, and we tend to want that fast acting energy that, because refined sugar runs through the liver and the brain takes what it wants first and it craves that shit. But when you flip gears and you're hydrated, you're drinking plenty of water, you're eating highly nutritionally dense foods, you function differently. You change on a physiological level, at a cellular level. The way that your body processes things, you look like a factory, right? It goes from like having 100 workers building crates by itself, packaging things one by one with Ziploc bags. That's your pizza. That's your pizza factory. And I'm only using, I'm not trying to demonize pizza here. I'm just using this as an example. When you're eating like a healthy piece of salmon and some vegetables, it's like an automated system. It's like, fuck that hand shit. I got one dude with a button. He hits the button and I've now produced 100 times that amount of product. You kind of see the analogy here. It speeds things up, makes things more efficient. It will improve all aspects of your life, all of them. So, and weight regulation. So if you're having issues with weight, simply adding these things to your diet and pulling back on some of the other things, your body will then, because you have higher nutrients with less calories, and even though we know that the law of thermodynamics is calories in, calories out, that doesn't change. That's just the way it is. Your body requires calories to survive, but it'll start to burn the adipose tissue. It will start to go, okay, we got our hormones are functioning properly, our brain's working good, our liver, all of our organs are good, our skin becomes more healthy. All right, we're functioning good, we're getting the nutrients, but we're outputting 1,800 calories a day, and we're only getting in 15 or 16. Boom, we start burning body fat, and we start to get rid of that because the body does not give two shits what you're putting in. It's just going to start to regulate from one way or another. So your energy level, you won't be hungry. You will feel satiated. Your energy levels will be up. Your sleep, God fuck sleep, people. I love this topic. And this is something, again, we can talk about with being at home and making sure that you are getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And those of you out there saying, well, I'm too fucking busy to get 7 or 8 hours of sleep. Well, drop a TV show or change things. I believe in sleep so much. And the reason I say this is because I was somebody who was a 5 to 6 hour a night sleeper and changed to a 7 to 8, mainly 8. And it has made a world of difference on how I function. I mean, your body has an opportunity, when I go back to talking like I did earlier about the parasympathetic nervous system and understanding that you have that rest or digest, your body has to repair itself. It needs time to repair. It needs time to, when we sleep, we secrete growth hormone, which allows our body to repair, get rid of dead cells, replenish new ones, compartmentalize our thoughts from the day, gives our brain a rest, regulates hormone function. For those of you with guys out there, testosterone, What do we know? What do we associate testosterone with, right? Sex, or, getting a hard on. Pardon my French here. Whatever, I don't care. Like at the end of the day, you want to have a better sex life? Treat your body with a little bit of respect. Give it the nutrients it needs. Get the fucking sleep that you need, and you will have a hard on until the day you die, and you don't need the little blue pill. If you kind of get my thought process here. I understand all this fully, because when I was in that moment of, time when I was overweight myself, and, in my mid to late 30s, obviously I had a lot of stressors going through a divorce and stuff. I had a lot of trouble in this department. It took a lot out of me. And, you know, when you treat your body properly and you go through those things, you will see a change. So these are kind of some of the key points that I brought up while you guys are sitting at home or going through the stress of not understanding or knowing with this COVID-19 or the coronavirus. Is one, create new routines within your day. Get up at the same time every morning, spend more time with your kids, go for a walk. When you go to the grocery store, go to the outsides of the aisle, buy the vegetables, buy the dense meats. Eggs are fantastic as well if you're somebody who can tolerate dairy. Add those to your meal. Get your exercise. I've got the 100 push-up challenge. It's just a fun challenge that we can work towards. A lot of us aren't going to get to 100 in a row, but that's not the point. The point is to get out there and do something. Be infectious. Use media, use social media, use Facebook, use Instagram as a way to promote positivity for once. Go out there, put your phone on the ground, give me fucking 10 push-ups, and be like, that's what I can do, and post that so that the next person who's been sitting on their couch all day doing shit can say, oh my God, that guy did 10 push-ups. I'm going to do fucking 12. And then he posts it, and so on and so forth. This is our way of building ourselves up and getting something out of it when this is over with. That is a routine that maybe will translate to you and with you for your life moving forward. Workout, exercise, create habits with a daily walk. Maybe it's after dinner. I always promote after you eat your biggest meal, to help digestion, just to go for a nice, brisk 20-minute walk. 20 minutes. That's it. It doesn't take a lot. It's, we've got the weather for it. Live in the present moment. Don't worry too much about tomorrow. And again, I'm not downplaying the fact that a lot of us have a lot of financial stress, or we're worrying about where the next dollar comes from. I get it. But use today to try and figure out what that may look like, but also be present with all the other things in the life, and understanding that tomorrow is out of your control for the most part. We always love to go in and speculate that we're going to go on a wonderful holiday, or we're going to take the kids to the park, or we're going to have this job for the next 10 years. Doesn't work that way. Some of us are blessed to, and I'm going to say cursed, I'm not going to say blessed, to have a comfortable life. This is not the time, and a lot of you are going to feel that, and you're going to go through it, as I did on my own in changing careers and doing what I'm doing. Is when you're uncomfortable, you tend to try and figure a way through that, or you have this understanding of adversity makes us stronger. It makes us better people. It makes us better individuals to the people around us. I went through one of the most tragic times of my life with the divorce 5 years ago, and it made me who I am today. It made me the person I am. It has helped myself, but it has helped so many other people out there, because my attention and my focus isn't just about me anymore. It's just about what I want. So what I can do for others and how I can help others, because if I can influence you and I can help you to get to a certain point in your life, you're going to take that, you're going to resonate with that, you're going to take that on to somebody else. And again, I go back to technology. I go back to this blessing curse relationship we have with living in 2020. When you touch one person on Facebook, when I get one person, that person has 500 other people on his Facebook account, and he touches one or five, and that person then touches another 500. So you multiply that and multiply that. You can reach 1 million people just by touching everybody 3 times. It's fucking insane. Use this time to push and promote positivity. Go through your life understanding that when tomorrow comes, you'll be better off because of it. And you can look back on your life, look at all the moments of your life that were difficult, all the times that you went through, and challenge yourself to say, you know what? This fucking sucks right now. I hate being at home. I hate that that I don't know where tomorrow is going to bring us, or how many people are going to get infected by this, or how this is going to impact my life. But look at it like I have an opportunity to be challenged and feel like I can be and get through this, and through that become a stronger person. Is kind of where I was going with that. I'm truly grateful to have this life. I'm truly grateful for every opportunity, but I'm more grateful for every roadblock and every fucking thing that comes my way that just is, it doesn't satisfy the things that I wanted, whether it's financial, whether it's relationship wise, because it gives me an opportunity to do better. Failure is part of life. Go out and fucking fail. Do that. Understand what that looks like. Because we've all done it, and we've not really maybe cared too much about that, or we worry about too much of that stuff. Embrace that kind of stuff. And this is that time where we have those opportunities with this and again, I'm going to say it one more time before I go off. Promote positivity. Be that one person that's going to go out and do the 10 push-ups or the 15 push-ups or the one push-up. And then you're going to share it with your friends in your group. And then they're going to get inspired and they're going to do the same thing. Make this go viral. Let's get everybody moving and inspiring each other to do better, so that we can forget about some of the things that you have no control over anyway. It's like a win-win. Whether you sit on your couch and do shit, or you move, or you spend some time with those that you love, again, try not to introduce, the older population or people you haven't seen in a while into your life until this kind of spreads, that selflessness, and really, really devote yourself to being a better person. All right. This is recorded live on Facebook. This is also aired on Zoom, which I'm recording to put on YouTube. This will be out on all podcast major platforms on Friday. So be sure that if you are just briefly catching this, if you want to listen to the entire episode from start to finish, head over to iTunes. Fit Fun Father is the podcast. You can look me up there. I will promote this on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You'll be able to get the link over to the podcast. Have a listen. Check this one out. Check all the other ones out. I've got some crazy guests that I've had on the show, from personal trainers to nutrition coaches to doctors to dating expert. You name it. I've got a show for it, I'm sure. And guys, like, what a blessing it's been to be able to get in front of you right now. I hope I've helped you get just through today. And again, I will do whatever I can to help you get through each one of these days, because you guys ultimately help me get through this as well, because I am no different than anybody else. I have the same fears. I have the same anxieties. I go through the same thought processes you guys do. I just choose to push it in a positive way, and I hope I could touch you guys. So like I always do on the podcast, when we finish this sucker up, please head over, subscribe to the show. If you're on iTunes, go all the way to the bottom, write a review. I would love that. It helps the algorithm of the podcast to kind of get it into the forefront for those looking for nutrition and health podcasts. You can give it a 5-star rating if you like it. If you didn't, then you can, please don't give it a 1. That would be sucky. But go in there, give it a rating, share with your friends. You've got free time. Play a couple while you're doing your push-up challenge. Nothing better, right? I don't know. I'm doing some self-promoting, but I don't make money from the podcast. You guys know. I know my goal in the next 5 years to be one of the top in Canada. I'm hoping to reach that goal. I am almost at 50 episodes. So if you haven't listened yet, please head over. I know the first couple are a little shaky, but I do get better as they go. I promise you. And with that being said, again, you can head over to, I've got my Facebook group. All the links will be in the show notes of the show. I will promote those things again on Facebook and Instagram. And you guys have a stellar day. Be safe, be kind to one another, and have a killer stellar day.